Did you get to a track?
You know what? I did, actually. I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it done. Totally finished.
Can
it's
we
just
play it?
that it sucks.
Oh.
No, it doesn't sound good. Yeah, I don't like it. So we're not gonna use that one.
That happens a lot with me when I try to record things, and I make something and I'm proud of it, and then I walk away and I come back and it's horrible. So
yeah, you hate it. You hate it. The other way to do it is like, I create something that is so brilliant and genius that it's too good for this podcast. That'll probably be what happens next week.
Right. Well, that happened
so we gotta
once
find
before,
the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to find the Goldilocks zone of like not terrible, but not great. Like just kind of right in the middle,
Yeah.
Think like a Guitar Center demo track, when you like walk up to the Native Instruments kind of demo booth thing and you hit the button and there's like a track already pulled up, or better yet, when you're at the Apple store and you like go and look at Logic and they've got a demo session pulled up. That's kind of the level I'm thinking.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's a bar you can totally hit.
Mm-hmm. So just Logic stock instruments, no amps, just DI everything. Be great.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to Dipped in Tone episode 17.
Yeah. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
That's Zach. The trouble that we've been trying to work out with this is because we do this remote over Discord. There's a lag that is really hard to try and figure out conversationally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the only solution I could come up with is if we talked over the phone or something.
Ugh,
and then recorded ourselves video and audio, but it would just be weird and like one more thing to like plug in and potentially fail.
Yeah, this is fine. We're doing just fine over here. Episode 17, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're on the downhill slide to the end of the year. So I think
it's all downhill from here.
That's right. It can only get worse.
It can only get worse. Shout out to the Discord. As usual, we're setting another record this week, y'all. We got the biggest group of people in here live. If you want to join in live while we're taping these episodes, you can. We do it on Discord every Friday morning at around 11 a.m. Eastern time. And the way you join in is by becoming a Patreon supporter. Link down below, $2 a month. And this week we're trying something new with the Patreon rig, with the Patreon thing. We're doing a rig sort of. Wow, I've screwed this up. This week we're trying something new with our Patreon members. Milton, don't edit that out. Just roll with it. We're going to do our first Dip Your Rig segment here in just a minute.
Yes.
So yeah, join our Patreon down below.
It's been growing, and there's like its own little community over there. So really, really fun.
Right. So, man, I love the GIFs in the chat. It's the greatest joy.
So distracting.
So distracting in the best way.
So how about we talk about our week, and then we dip the rig, and then we can get on with our topic of the day.
Yeah.
So
done.
Why don't you go first? You had an eventful week.
I had a big week, man. I made a gear purchase, a significant gear purchase. I bought it's a rare occurrence in your life when you get the opportunity to purchase a bucket list piece of gear. And I did this week. I bought a completely original 1964 Vox AC30 Jmi made in London. The cleanest 64 early 60s Vox I've ever seen. I mean, it is like museum quality clean.
Yeah.
It came from a local shop here in Atlanta called Maple Street Guitars. It was on consignment over there, so shout out to Maple Street. Those guys are great. And I was doing some Christmas shopping a couple weeks ago down in Buckhead and hadn't been to Maple Street in a while. And I just was like, oh yeah, I'll drop in there. And they're primarily like a high-end acoustic dealer, and they do like Collings Electrics and Fender and stuff like that. But traditionally, they're not really known for their vintage gear. But I walked in, wandered over to the electric side, and saw this Vox sitting there. It's beautiful. We'll post some pictures up here in the video. Completely original. Apparently, it's one owner from 1964. So I am the second owner of this amp. Came from Tallahassee, Florida. Was just serviced, cap job, the whole thing. Original speakers, original transformers, came with the original tubes. And I played it yesterday for the first time under a mic because I'm working on a video for it. And my God, it is the AC30 sound. I mean, it is unquestionably, that's to me the benchmark of the AC30 sound right there.
Yeah, those amps, when they're working how they are supposed to work, there's this phrase that a tech that worked at Carter always says. His name is Gary, and he would always say, "Sounds like records," and that's one of those amps you plug into it, and you're like, "Oh, there's that song, there's that song, there's that song."
Right. Yeah. I recorded a bit yesterday. I sent it to you, and I sent it to a bunch of other people, friends of mine, and stuff, and I got a common response of like, yeah, that's Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Sounds like Abbey Road. Or that sounds like Petty. That sounds like Tom Petty or whatever. I mean, I'm incredibly lucky to own it. And I got a good deal on it. I paid right around $4,000 for it with tax and everything. Sold some gear, moved some gear in order to help pay for it and offset the cost. Originally, when I found it, I told Rick Beato about it because I thought for sure he was going to be all over that amp. And, we're trying to buy a house. And so I didn't think it was going to be feasible for us to do it. And then a couple days later, Rick went and played it and called me on the way back from the store and told me, you need to own this amp. You're not going to find another one like this. This is something that you need for your studio and for your future setup. Sell whatever you need to sell, do whatever you need to do to buy this amp. And that's one of those things that if he's saying that, then it's something to pay attention to. So,
right.
I am beside myself. I've caught myself just going in the live room a couple times and just sitting there and staring at it for minutes at a time. So,
did you keep it on its stand or did you take it off?
No, I kept it on the stand.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it on the stand.
Yeah, it's cool.
It actually is really practical. It makes it super easy to move around.
Yeah, for those that haven't seen the old Vox stands, it looks like something. If it didn't have the amp on it, you would hang clothes on or something.
Yeah,
but you can tilt the amp and stuff. They're really neat. But that's a rare
and it's that
thing to have.
Yeah, they're really hard to find, and especially in that condition, they're really hard to find. Yeah, Robert just posted it in the chat.
Yeah.
And they're actually really useful because it decouples the amp from the floor.
Yeah.
For recording purposes. So it raises the amp off the floor about 5 inches or so, which makes it a little easier to get some mics placed. And it's decoupling the amplifier from the floor. So, and it makes it really practical and easy to move around.
Yeah.
It's a 64 gray panel. Top boost. The 64 has the top boost circuit integrated into it. Earlier versions, I've been learning about early AC30s this week. Dan from that pedal show, who's going to be in my video, he has a 62. His has the top boost circuit on the back of the amp. And then in 64, I believe they went to the integrated top boost circuit. So it is the sound, man. It's the thing.
Yeah, I think when I was really like starting to dive into guitar tone, a vintage Vox was one of the first amps that I played that made me kind of understand a little bit about using my guitar's controls, because I played I don't know what year it was, but it was Fawn. It was the light colored Tolex covering, whatever. And man, they're really special. I've played a lot of the vintage Vox amps, and when they're right, it's just like you can't beat it. But good thing it has that stand because they are a pain to move. They're heavy.
They're so heavy. This one I'll never gig this. This is going to be, just especially because how clean it is. From what I understand, the story I was told was that It spent the last 25 years in a closet. You know, it comes with the original cover, the vinyl cover and everything. I mean, it was just, the guy bought it and I think just had it in his house for 50 years, 56 years.
Yeah.
And evidently he passed away at some point, and it was either his son-in-law or his grandson that was selling it. And so I tracked down the amp tech who did the work on it, and got the story from him. And what he said was, when the gentleman brought the amp in, they didn't know what it was or knew anything about it. And they, you know, it needed a bunch of work. It needed a full cap job. It needed some of the resistors replaced. I mean, it's 56-year-old amplifier. And
Sure.
when he told the customer how much it was going to be for the work, the guy apparently got really like pissed off. He was like, man, I'm not putting all this money into that old piece of junk. You know, we're not even going to do anything with it. It's just this old weird guitar thing. It's not worth it. And he told the guy, he said, son, I want you to go Google this amp and then call me back. And he said about 15 minutes later, he got a call back from the guy saying like, I'm really sorry. I apologize. I didn't know what we had. We'll just, whatever it takes, just get it up and running and we'll sell it. And so that's what they did. They threw the book at it. And yeah, I ended up with a really great heirloom amp.
You know what's crazy is there's still gear like that, you know, and that's something that I've always told my grandparents, like, hey, if there's anyone at church that has an old electric guitar that they're not using, take a picture and give it to you and send it to me, because I want to know what they have, because there's still bursts under beds. There's still pre-CBS Fenders that are in custom colors that are in a closet somewhere. Like it's still out there, you know? So super cool.
Right. So what about you? What's going on this week?
Man, it was just another week of work. I kind of want to share this, even though this is just for me and it's not gear related. So I've been continually working on the pack, and now it has straps on it. My Proton pack,
dude.
But that's
so cool.
That's just been, man. Like for me, I think the thing I've needed to do this week the most is relax, because I've been so busy. And this should be an episode in and of itself, but like finding the work balance, finding the time to reset, finding the time to just take a breath, because this whole week I've been working from basically when I get up after breakfast till dinner, and then after dinner till about midnight every day. And it's hard, you know, but it's what you got to do.
Yeah. I feel you. I think I'm going to try and do the same thing next week. Because we just got the video course out, shameless plug, available today as of taping. The Nashville Number System course is available for purchase.
Awesome.
And we're doing introductory pricing for the first week. So when you guys see this live, you can download the course, save some money. But yeah, I've been working on that for the past month and making the videos and everything, and I can feel the burnout, like just starting to creep in a little bit, which is telling me like it's probably time to let off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, I know when it's time to go to bed, when I'm at my bench and I'm soldering and my eyes start to cross and I'm like doing that. But yeah, that's
with a hot iron.
Yeah,
in your hand.
with a stick that is 720 degrees Fahrenheit in my hand. So, but yeah, that's been my week. So that's it.
Well, there you go. All right. So let's dip somebody's rig. Well, we should introduce this because this is a new segment for us here on Dipped in Tone. We are going to start doing a weekly thing where we dip your rig. So the way this works is for Patreon members, you email us at the email down here, a picture of your rig, maybe a short description, and each week we're going to pick one member to it's not a roast. We're not going to roast your rig.
Right.
We're just going to give you our honest opinion, things we like, things we think could be improved. So who do we got first this week?
So up this week, the very first Dip Your Rig, we have Mr. Scott Pickett. So Scott says that he uses this setup in a part-time cover band doing 60s to current tunes, and he mentioned that somebody told him he needed a buffer. But for those listening, he's got a slew of guitars. Looks like a Squier Affinity Strat, a Gibson. It's either the Blues Bird or the Blues Hawk. The chat, check me. It's for those that have never seen it, it's kind of got like a Strat hardtail bridge. They're called Blues 90s. They're not P90s. They have rod pull pieces, a Veritone thing. I think that's a Washburn semi-hollow. Hot Rod DeVille looks like a PV Classic back behind that. And then a smattering of pedals. I mean, serviceable rig. You could get a lot done with this rig, but what are your first impressions? What would you do for this rig if this was your setup?
Hey man, look, if PV made a car, I'd drive it. All right. Listen.
Hartley PV,
always says that.
He's a saint in and of himself.
You're damn right. Okay. Ain't a damn thing PV's not made that wasn't the best. All right. So on the rig, this is a totally respectable working man's rig right here.
Yes.
I love seeing this kind of stuff because you can tell everything I think was purchased with deliberate intent in mind. It's a budget-focused rig, but you can absolutely get some great sounds out of this. So I'm going to start with the board here. It looks like, what kind of board is that? Do you know, Zach?
That looks like one of the SKB powered boards, but he's got an MXR power supply on there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Love the Vox Wah. Love the Soul Food. You know, I'm not a Tube Screamer guy, but hey, you know, you got to have the Tube Screamer for the cover band situation. Yep. And you've got some good like utility stuff on here. You've got the GE7 EQ. That is one of the most underrated pedals of all time. You've got is that the CE3?
That's a
the
5.
Chorus Ensemble.
It's a CE5.
5? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the EP boost. Now, let me tell you something. The EP boost from Exotic, I think, is one of the best boosts, most underrated boosts ever. If you want a great sounding utility boost that's pedalboard friendly and you can pick them up cheap, get the EP boost. It's based on the preamp section of an Echoplex delay, which if you don't know, one of the popular things you can do with tape delays like that is use them as boost pedals or essentially overdrives into the front end of your amp to hit the front of the amp harder. So love the EP boost. Used to have one of those. On the pedal board, what I would recommend is taking those pedals, investing in a new board and an upgraded power supply.
Yeah.
The MXR is decent, but I think you would notice a good improvement on, first of all, layout with same size board, but something like a pedal train where you can separate your signal cables, your patch cables, and your power cables. The one thing I'm seeing here is it looks like it's a bit of a rat's nest with the power cable, and that is definitely going to introduce a lot of noise and interference into your signal. So I would step up to an isolated power supply. I really like the one spot stuff, like the CS7 I think would be cool, or CS12.
Yeah.
And I would get a pedal board where you can put the power supply underneath the board, run your power cables on the underside of the board, and keep your signal cables on top. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. And I've had customers use some of the MXR stuff. That's one of the newer ones. But I don't know if they're actually fully isolated. And
I don't think they are.
Yeah, and I've heard, I mean, I know from experience people have used those and internally components fail, and instead of one of the outputs not working, it jumps. So you get, instead of 9 volts, 18 volts. So bad news,
right?
Especially with some pedals like the Soul Food, and the EP boost actually pumps it up to 18 volts inside too. So you don't want to give that more voltage than it needs. But yeah, I would definitely get a pedal train and some nice patch cables. You could clean all that up, and probably in addition to the pedal board, he has a Digitech Jam Man on the floor. You could probably fit all that on the board if you got that power supply underneath there and did some clever wiring. You could get it all together, because in my experience, there's nothing more annoying than showing up to a gig and having to like put that one thing you need on the floor next to your board and having to get that extra cable or whatever. And some power supplies, because the Digitech uses, I think it's using AC power. If it doesn't have an output, like a Voodoo Lab has like a utility plug on the back. So you could actually plug in that pedal's dedicated power supply to that and save yourself from having to bring an extra extension cord or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, with the guitars, for me, I think that Gibson, I don't know if anyone in the chat let me know what that model is. I think it's the Bluesbird's a Guild.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, they did there was one that had the P90 style pickups. There was one that had a slanted humbucker. They did a BB King version. But the cool guitars, I feel like that could cover enough ground to where you could probably leave the other guitars at home unless you desperately need that specific sound for a cover tune. In my opinion, there's no point in trying to match a song exactly, because the listener ultimately probably doesn't care, and the less gear you have to haul, the better. But yeah, I think, I mean, that's the biggest hiccup for me would be just cleaning up the pedal board, and everything else is enough to do. I mean, most things that any of us would need to do.
Totally serviceable working man's rig. I love seeing this kind of stuff. On the guitar front, you know, I think the Squier Strat is great. I think you could, you know, if you were looking to make a change in the other, you know, because I'm thinking about, you know, Scott being a cover band guy. He's got a cover, I'm saying probably 3 to 4 hour set each night, and they're playing probably 30 to 40 tunes, everything from, you know, like you said, 60s to current stuff. So I think the Strat's necessary. You got to have a Strat sound in there. But I think you could pare this down to a 2-guitar rig by either selling off the semi-hollow and the Gibson, or maybe just investing in a different guitar that is just a double humbucker semi-hollow that you can coil split the humbuckers on.
Sure.
I think if you went that route, you know, maybe consolidate those 2 guitars to get something that's a little bit, you know, maybe a step up in the price range from where those 2 are at right now. I think then you have 2 guitars to your rig. You can take them in a gig bag, making loading in and out a lot easier. But yeah, the thing about the pedal board is it's not just the static, right?
Right.
You are increasing your reliability when you take the steps to build a clean board with clean cable routing, with reliable power supplies, with reliable patch cables. Like this stuff matters. It's not just so you can post it on Instagram and get a bunch of likes. If you're gigging, like Scott is doing, you're loading this thing in and out, you're taking it to rehearsal all the time, it's being moved in and out of cases all the time. If you're playing outdoors, indoors, going through temperature change, all that kind of stuff, this stuff wears. And so you want to take the steps necessary to build something that's going to be reliable, especially a pedal board where you're stomping on it and kicking it all night, hundreds of times. It really, really matters. Okay. He mentioned buffers in the thing. Yeah. You know, the Boss pedals are buffered.
Soul Food is buffered.
Soul Food is buffered. I would say if you were going to make an upgrade to the pedal board as well, I would consider a loop switcher, maybe a passive loop switcher, something where you can put each one of those pedals on an isolated loop and have them just on the bottom of your board. That'll clean up your signal flow. Going to the front of the amp, there's a lot of options out there for that are not that expensive. So yeah.
I thought about that as well, just having a little true bypass looper thing. But yeah, I mean, that to me, that will give you the most, because I think that the TC pedals probably buffered the Behringer. There's a lot of buffered bypass pedals on that board. And if you went through a looper, everything would kind of spring back to life. So
yeah, you will notice a large improvement in your tone in terms of when everything's off, because you're essentially cutting out that entire signal chain, which right now, quite frankly, is a bit messy, right? If you're going through all of those different pedals, some of them are true bypass, some of them are buffered. You're adding all that extra cable length in there. You're probably losing a substantial amount of top end from your guitar's tone going into your Fender there. So I would say invest in a true bypass, passive loop switcher, and just put each one of those pedals on a loop, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Has he been dipped? I think he's been dipped.
It's fully dipped. I really want graphics and stuff for this.
We got to get Casey Harris on that. Harris Art Company.
Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, if you guys want to send your rig in for next week's episode, email us. It's got to be a Patreon supporter, and we will we'll pick somebody for next week.
Yeah, and we have a bunch to go through. So this is great. It's gonna be fun.
We might end up just doing a whole episode of rig dipping.
The double entendre is worth it, alone.
Beto in the chat says, I just imagine Exhibit with Pimped.
All right.
Yo, I see you like Boss pedals, so we got Boss pedals for your Boss pedals. I used to love that show growing up, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Pimp My Ride.
Great.
Come on.
Great.
So on to today's topic. We're coming down into the year. We're landing the plane on the dumpster fire that was 2020. And, I'm picturing, the scene in Airplane when he's trying to land the plane. That's how I picture us just as a collective society trying to end 2020.
Right.
Sweat pouring down our face. And so Zach and I thought what might be cool is to do one of our year-end episodes here. Gear of the year. What's our favorite stuff that we picked up this year? And we're going to talk about some of the things that we acquired. Rules for gear of the year are it has to be acquired by one of us this year, but it doesn't have to be from this year, i.e. it doesn't have to be a 2020 model year piece of gear. That's a lot of rhyming. So, Zach, what do you got first?
I think I'm going to go with this. So I picked this up in October, and this is a vintage Ibanez AD80 analog delay. So this is of the same issue as a TS808 and so much cheaper than an 808. I don't even know how much a TS808 is going for now. I know the last time I looked, they were $500 to $700. This was not that much. This was just a couple $100.
Right. And
this is one of the quintessential analog delays, right up there with a Boss DM2. Has a really unique sound. You played this at the house, I think. Didn't you?
It's great.
And it's got a really, it's got like a real eighth note, almost. I feel like some of these Ibanez, the repeats almost have like a triplet feel. It's a very interesting repeat. And these vintage delay pedals, if you can snag them for under $300, A, it's a good investment, and B, they sound really cool. And this one is incredible. It operates at 18 volts, which is pretty neat. It makes finding a power supply for it kind of annoying, but man, what a sound. I'm in love with all things pink and delay right now. So
did that inspire your analog delay at all?
Well, yeah. So it's going to be called the Oracle Mythos analog delay pedal, which I hope will be out by the end of January. We'll see. Is kind of like that with a little bit more modern feature set, but the same kind of voicing and feel. I want it to live in the Ibanez vintage analog delay camp. So yeah, that was kind of like the starting point, and John, the designer, just took it and just pushed it out from there. So incredible.
Nice. Yeah, it's great. I played that when I was over there a couple months ago. It does not suck. So for my first piece, I'm posting in the chat here. It's also a delay. And it is my Multivox multi-echo tape delay and spring reverb. So I bought this from Josh Scott, not from Josh, but Josh from JHS made a video earlier this year about all things tape echo. Probably my favorite JHS video that they've made. And in that video, he played his multi-echo. It was the first time I had ever heard one or even really seen one. And there was something about the sound that he got out of his that I immediately fell in love with. So while watching the video, jumped on Reverb, and there was one for sale. It was this one. And I just immediately bought it. It's about $1,500 and bought it from the guy. Turns out he's a fan of the channel. Super cool. Came from New York. I got it here and it was basically not working. Needed a bunch of work. So reached out to my friend Kevin Kadish. Shout out. Great producer, songwriter friend of mine up in Nashville. Kevin has a tape echo collection that is unlike any one I've ever seen. It rivals Josh's tape echo collection. And Kevin turned me on to a gentleman up in Brooklyn who services tape echoes, whose name escapes me right now. And I ended up sending this to him, and the guy did a fantastic job on it. Completely gone through, serviced all the heads, did a cap job, new tape, the whole thing, got it calibrated. And this is one of my favorite pieces of gear I've ever owned. I use it on Backstage Live a lot this year. It is so inspiring to play. The sounds that come out of it are so cool. And if you're not familiar, it's essentially like it's like an RE201, Roland RE201 Space Echo.
Right.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Setup. But it just does the thing, man. And they're great production tools. You can use them to record with, send vocals through them. You can bounce tracks out of your DAW through it. For reverb, the spring reverb on it sounds lush and beautiful, and I mean, it is a solid step up from the closest digital analog to this. Oh, that's a weird statement. The closest digital thing that exists to this is the Strymon Velante. And the Strymon sounds great, but this just does a different thing.
Yeah,
and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember watching that JHS episode and hearing that one, and I had never seen or heard that one either, and thought, wow, that one's got some stank on it. Like, I like that one, So it's funny. Like, can we just talk for a second about Josh's, I want to use the word catastrophic influence because anytime he mentions anything, if you want it, you better get it right now, because if you don't, the price is going to skyrocket.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. It's he is an influencer, truly an influencer.
100%. Like, I can't think of any other. I don't know of anyone else right now over the past handful of years who has driven the guitar market, or at least the pedal market, in such a decisive way as Josh. Is there anyone else?
Right.
Not even you. I'm sorry.
Not even me. No, not me. I mean, I've had a little impact on things like the Skylark, but the thing is, the reason Josh has the pull is because he has the gear.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he's got all of it.
Everything.
And he's got everything. And so when he wants to make a video on something, he's got the thing, and then he will tell you exactly why it's great. The other thing about Josh, he is the most, I think, underrated guitar player on Guitar YouTube. He is a fantastic guitar player. When you watch the things that he and Nick come up with, and Addison, the bass player, guy that works over there now, when you watch the stuff they come up with, Josh kills it, man. Yeah. And I feel like it's a bit of a travesty that he's not known more as being a great guitar player. I mean, he really, really is. He's awesome.
Yeah. I think that he's raised the bar for all things pedal related on YouTube. Because just the fact of him playing pedals with a drummer, and I mean, there've been a few episodes where you see somebody playing a bass, but there's always bass like back there. But having pedals in context, even if it's just for 20, 30 seconds, it makes so much more sense. And, good on him for taking this journey into YouTube the way he has.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing. He's the only manufacturer out there that really understands YouTube. I would put Mason at Vertex in that camp as well. But what Josh does, that he just kills it, man. Yeah. Just absolutely kills it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So what's next for you here?
Man, I'm trying to think of a few things that like would be an important thing for another guitar player to have, or someone who, does this stuff or whatever. And there was one tool thing that I bought that I think is so necessary that everyone should own, not just guitar players, but just everybody in general. This is my Anchor.
Oh yeah.
Backup battery, like a portable battery. And this one is like, it's the Power Core Plus, but this thing is, dude, for taking care of stuff when I'm like setting up things. Anytime I take my laptop, anytime I make a video, anytime I'm working on pedal stuff for me, this thing has saved my skin for charging my phone, for doing videos, for doing live streams, if you had one of those chargeable pedal board batteries, this could charge that in like a few minutes. Mm-hmm. These are incredible. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have like a hefty, and this is like heavy, battery backup thing, you should get one because, I know this is not guitar related. I just think it's a really important thing that everyone should kind of have, just like the tools and stuff we've mentioned before.
Yes. I completely agree. I have two of those. I have a slightly smaller one. And then I have a giant one like that. And those always go with me on gigs and on tour.
Yeah.
On gigs, because, well, especially with what I do filming and stuff for the vlog and everything, I've got camera batteries and stuff. But, if you're using an iPad for charts or your phone dies or whatever, it's just a really, really useful thing to have. And we've all been in that situation where you roll up to a venue that has just like sketchy power, or there's nothing really in the green room or anything like that. It just really is necessary. And on tour, being in a Sprinter van or a 15 passenger or whatever that doesn't have power, and you've got a 15-16 hour drive ahead of you, and you're sitting there scrolling Reddit all day, just, you got to keep the the pacifier alive, So I keep one with me for that. The other thing is I've seen people, I've never done this, but I've seen people modify those things to use them directly to run your pedal board on, which is really, really cool.
Well, yeah, they make little, I think some like reputable people, not just some fly-by-night USB to 9-volt adapter. They make adapters. And honestly, these heavy-duty power supplies have enough juice to where if you were in a pinch and you had one of those like USB to 9-volt, you could daisy chain and save a gig,
Yeah.
So
yep.
I use it for my lights. I use it for my phone. I can charge my new laptop with it. Like I take it everywhere. I bought it when I went to the UK, just to make sure I could, have everything ready to go at a moment's notice. And
yeah,
it's been very handy, very handy.
Yep. Throw it in your gig bag, keep it with you at all times. And the other thing too is like I always keep a couple of different cables with it. I keep an iPhone charger, I keep micro USB, I keep a couple of different styles of USB cable with it. Because inevitably you're going to end up with some device or something like, shit, I don't have a USB-C cable. Well, you just plug it in and go.
Man, that's the worst.
Love it. Yeah, I know. Can we all just decide, like, everyone just at this point, whatever your device is, let's just go USB-C and stick with that. Okay. Everyone,
100%.
Apple, your external drives, whatever, just go with USB-C, please. I'm sick of having 12 different types of cables with me at all times. I hate it.
Yes. Same.
Okay. All right. So for my next thing, make sure I'm in the thing here. My Mulecaster.
Ooh.
So I picked this up this year. This was a gift from Matt Ike. I did not pay for this, so full disclosure. I have 2 Mule resonators now. So I have this Mulecaster and I have the resonator. And this is one of the coolest instruments I've ever owned or played. If you don't know Mule resonator guitars, they're based out of Saginaw, Michigan. It's a guy named Matt Ike. And this is a telly, quote unquote, but it is fully metal and it's fully hollow. Their own pickups, their own sort of mini humbuckers. And then this one has the hip shot bridge, which I'm still trying to learn how to play.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's tough, but essentially it's like a B bender, G bender, and A bender kind of thing.
Right.
This guitar is incredibly special. It's one of those things where it's not right for everything. Like this wouldn't be the only guitar I took to a gig, but its sound and its response is so unique and so cool that when it's the right thing for the part, there's nothing else that works as well as this does. Ariel Posen plays these, Joey Landreth plays these, RJ Ronquillo has one. They are unbelievably cool, hand-built instruments. I have this old strap. This was my late grandfather's tie clip here. I don't know if you can see that, but keep that on the strap. Mule, they make incredibly special instruments. I feel really, really privileged that they thought of me to have this. So
yeah. Did it
gear of the year?
Did it come with the palm bender on it?
Yeah, so I spec'd that.
Okay.
You can do some different specs. You can do, with or without the hip shot bridge. You can do, you can have it set up for standard tuning or baritone tuning. This one's set up for standard, like string gauge, and I keep it in either D standard or open D. So it's kind of a baritone thing, sort of. It's got flat wounds on it, which I think is crucial to that guitar's sound. So it's not for bending. You're not really going to bend on that guitar, but it's a monstrous slide guitar. And it just does that thing. What I've been using it for on tracks is like layering under another guitar, like either a melody or a rhythm part. You get that lower voice. It's a little higher than a baritone, but lower than the main guitar. It's sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, Joey once he had a gig in Nashville, and then right after he was like had to fly somewhere, and so he left his gear with me, and he left his red guitar that has the bender on it with me for like a week, and I played it, and they're super neat, but you're right, that bender is like, huh? And of course Joey's in open C, so it's like that plus a bender. It's like it didn't make any sense, but it sounded and felt great. It was super fun to play, but I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Right. Yeah, it's something that I'm still kind of struggling with, just finding the right time to use it. Like it's cool, especially on slide. It's really cool because what you can do, like on the G bender specifically, like if you slide into a major chord, right, which is barred across the frets, like if I slide to a 5 chord and then I can hit that bender and bend it up to a sus4. So if you think in the key of E, you slide up to that B and slide, hit that to a B sus4 voicing, which is really cool because it's the bender. It sounds like a pedal steel. Right. You get that nice smooth bend up and bend down. It's really, really cool.
Awesome. Well,
what's next for you?
Well, I guess if we're talking guitars, I'm going to bust out my law degree guitar again.
Yeah.
So I got this PRS DGT on trade. I traded a what was it? Oxblood R4 Les Paul for this. I got a great deal on trade. It has one little, see that little chip in it. It's a little gray primer showing through. But I had always wanted one of these, and I've fallen in love with it. After my Novo, my TCS, this is one of the best playing sounding guitars I've ever owned. And I put throwback SLE 101 Plus, the slightly hotter PAF pickup in here. It kept the tap, but man, I never thought like I would be head over heels in love with a PRS, but I am, and I think, you know, there's definitely more in my future, like far distant future, but man, what a great guitar. This is perfect neck. The necks are perfect on these.
I agree. So I will admit I was a little skeptical when you, of all people, came to me and were like, I'm going to buy a PRS. I was like, what?
Oh, I didn't even ask you. I got it. And then I said, look what I got.
Oh yeah, you told me. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. Not because PRSs are bad guitars. They're not at all. It's just not something I would peg you or I really as being a PRS player.
Right.
But that being said, I've always heard good things about DGTs. One of my role models, Tim Pierce, is a big PRS guy, big DGT guy. And Tim, to me, is one of those players that, like, when he speaks, I listen. You know what I mean? So I got curious after you got yours and went over to Righteous and played a couple of DGTs they had over there. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get this. This is cool. I like it.
I understand.
So I'm going to try and get one maybe next year. I think it'd be cool to try and get my hands on a used DGT.
Yeah.
I think the gold is the best color on them.
Man, the gold, the colors, I mean, gold on every guitar is always, I think it's a hard color to get right. But on this one, I can't even remember what year this thing is. The gold it's a 2012, is just perfect. I mean, I don't know. I like you said, it's not a guitar I envisioned myself really falling in love with like I have, but man, I don't know. But
I think the PRS body shape, I really love the carves on the, I think the PRS body shape is great. It really is great. And the thing I like about the gold, the metallic really shows off the contours of the body.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. I know it's kind of divisive. I know some people hate the PRS shape. I dig it. I think it's cool.
It's beautiful, and it has, I mean, like, love or hate what Paul does, like everything has a specific reason. Like nothing is just like that looks cool, do it. It's like, this feels right, this sits, on your body right. But yeah, and one of the reasons why I gravitated towards this is because of Dave Grissom. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Are there anybody else? I mean, he's incredible. Like,
Dude, I'm saying, like, some of the best players in the world swear by those guitars. So I think my reservation around them has been because of, PRS in the early 2000s through the teens. Their primary marketing thing is like they really went after the new metal and like hard rock bands, and then like the bro country scene super hard. So it was like every time I saw any of those bands, which I don't particularly dig a lot of that stuff, they were all playing PRSs, and it just sort of like built this association in my brain of like, oh, those are butt rock guitars, which is totally not true. But when that's what you see, a bunch of butt rock bands playing the stuff, it's like, okay, well, but I've matured, I think, and gotten over that.
Butt rock. That's fallacy. A shirt. That's a shirt. Butt rock.
Butt rock. You know exactly what I'm talking about when I say butt rock.
Absolutely. Absolutely. and either they're playing that or they're playing. No. I don't want to bash. I don't want to be.
No, yeah.
I don't want to.
We can't.
Too much of a mean girl.
Yeah. So, you and I can quickly go down that road.
So I think we probably have time for one more each. If you want to, do you have one more?
I'm having fun, man.
Yeah.
We can make this a longer episode. I don't care. All right. Because I got a couple more things, I think.
Oh.
So, yeah, whatever. We'll go long and we'll let the people say if this is too long or not. Let us know in the comments.
Well,
whatever.
I don't know if you noticed, but we have hit our cap on the number of people in the chat. Like it.
Well, so that's the thing. I changed the channel to allow up to 99 people in the chat. So I don't know why it's updated.
Oh, well.
Or hasn't updated. But anyway, all right. So my next one is a pedal. It is new for this year, and it is the JHS Legend Series Supreme. Please focus. There we go. I think JHS killed it with these pedals. There's 4 of them in this line. Apparently there's more to come. I don't know exactly what's on the way, but these are affordable. I think they retail for what, $160, something like that.
Yeah.
This is a clone of the Super Fuzz, Octave Fuzz from Japan, 1972. And this is my favorite one of the lineup. I think they're all really good, but I'm a sucker for Octave Fuzz. I love what this thing does. It has the 2 mode. It's got one switch for mode change and one switch for a tone. One shifts the mid range. The other shifts, I think, the octave, like where the octave sits.
Yeah. These
are killer. If you are kind of on the fence, or you're looking for your first fuzz pedal, or you're looking for something that's going to be good, but you don't want to spend $300 on some super boutique fuzz thing, the JHS Legends series, I think, is a good place to start.
Or a golden fleece.
Yeah, or a golden fleece. Okay. But I can't use a golden fleece because I don't have one.
Well, I'll get you one, damn it.
And I didn't get one this year, so it doesn't qualify. So if you're watching this, if you're like, why aren't you guys talking about this? Why aren't you guys talking about, like, I'm not talking about Nova or anything. Well, I didn't get a Nova this year.
Yeah.
So keep in mind the rules for the thing here is it has to be acquired this year. So you should have thought about that, Zachary. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I know.
Checking it. No, but seriously, these are really good. I think they're priced right, and check them out.
I have the Tone Bender one.
Yep.
And it's great. It's cool. I dig it. I love the enclosure, the door stop thing. And
yeah.
In the comments, Kalkidos is saying the knobs suck. I don't think they suck.
Yeah, the knobs are terrible.
I mean, it's in a bad. I mean, granted, it's doing a thing. That's where the knobs were on the Maestro fuzz and stuff. So, like, it's inconvenient.
I think the placement of the knobs are really good. I like the top jacks and I like the placement. The problem is these knobs, you can't see the indicators on them. Like, because if it's on your board, you're looking at it like this.
Yeah.
Tell me where my knob is set right now.
Well, the only way to get around that is to use like a numbered knob, like a Gibson or a Strat style knob. Like, I mean,
like a witch hat thing.
Yeah, or witch hat. I mean, there's no other way with a knob on the side to have, because if it had a straight line indicator, you'd still only see it like 30% of the time.
Right.
But I mean, that's why the key.
I think witch hats would look cool on that.
I mean, well, yeah, it would if you put black ones or something. But
yeah.
That's why the Keeley Katana, the old one, was so cool because it had that clear speed knob on the side, and you could see what number you were on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nice. You got anything else?
The last thing I thought of, just because I talk about it like every episode, but the HX Stomp, like for me, and I'd include this and the Power Cab, because for me this has been good for my guitar playing. It hasn't made me a better player, but it makes me play guitar faster and more often, and it's really fun to dive in and create sounds for this. So one of my goals for next year is to kind of do patches of all of my favorite recorded guitar sounds. So, I have like the ZZ Top thing in here now, but I want to do like Weezer Blue Album tone and like a bunch of the classic records I grew up playing and learning how to play guitar to. and just sounds I like. So I'm gonna try to do that next year, and I'll probably make like a patch thing, and maybe we can give it away to Patreon.
Yeah, I think you should consider putting some patches out, because I heard a couple weeks ago we were comparing. I was working on the Axe effects, and we were making up tones for like what was it?
Oh, you're making a ZZ Top.
We're doing a ZZ Top thing, and you played me your HX Stomp preset that you made, and it was a recording, right? But what you sent me sounded unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Like if I had 100 guesses as to what you were playing, I would not have said the HX Stomp in that recording.
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, it's fun, and like I'm looking at it not from because like for me this is not a thing I'm going to gig with or tour with, because that's not going to happen. But when I'm making patches, I'm trying to make two of each. One that's like I can use it in a room, and another one that's what it sounds like on the record. And that's kind of what I was going for with that one. And dude, it's like playing a video game. It's like trying to find the right mics and the right reverb sounds and all that stuff to really nail it. And it's really enjoyable. So
nice. So I guess we'll end on this one. My divided by 13 RSA 23. It's right behind me here. We'll drop a better picture in the chat. But I ordered this. This was my first purchase of 2020. I ordered it from Fred in January when we were at NAMM. Tilly and I went to his shop out in California and hung out with him. And look, I talk about divided by all the time. I'm sure people are tired of hearing me say it, but I really, really believe in those amps, and I believe in that company for a few reasons. First of all, on the RSA 23, I got turned on to it again through Tim Pierce when I went over to Tim's place last year, and I played through it for the first time at his place, and that is one of the go-to session amps for Tim. And again, one of those things, if Tim Pierce says it's good, in my mind, it's good. So if you don't know, the RSA 23 is Rusty Anderson's signature that he developed with Fred. Rusty Anderson from oh my God. Milton, you're gonna have to edit this out. Rusty Anderson from the Paul McCartney band, playing Paul McCartney for years. And so essentially what the RSA 23 is like Fred's take on the ultimate sort of British amp. Because if you think about Rusty on the McCartney gig, you think about all the tones and stuff he's got to cover, everything from the Beatles to Wings, right? To McCartney solo stuff. Like that's a wide tonal palette to cover. So the RSA basically does everything from super clean, chimey AC30 tones to pushed AC30 tones. And then the right channel, the drive channel, will do Marshall-esque, but really more like pushed high watt sounds. Incredibly versatile amp, amazing pedal platform. I've used it every session I've done this year. Everything I've played on this year, I've used the RSA on. It's a phenomenal amp.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Does it have a master volume? Did you say that?
No, it's two channels. The left channel has a 3-band EQ and just one volume. And then the right channel has a stepped tone control and one volume. And then there's high and low inputs for both. And so what you can do this on the FTR as well. You can jump the two channels together.
Yeah.
For an interesting kind of thing. No effects loop, really straight ahead amp. They're built like tanks. I mean, dude, literally the build quality on those things I think is pretty much unrivaled in terms of modern boutique amp builders out there. And Fred's cool because he has Brett Papa used to work with Fred, used to help Fred build amps for years and years. And Brett talks about even to this day, Fred has like a secret transformer guy that he doesn't let anybody know about or talk about. And it's like some guy that winds transformers to him for his spec. And Brett talks about like when Fred would go pick up transformers for builds, it was like the drug deal going down. He'd like, all right, I gotta go see the guy. And he'd come back with just a box full of transformers and, you know, filter chokes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. If you're interested, I would say get one, because Fred's still building everything himself. You're going to wait. I ordered mine in January. I got the head in June, and I got the cabinet in July or August.
Right.
But I think he will go down as one of the great amp builders out there. And when he's done, when he's retires and stops making amps, it's going to be it. And people will talk about those amps like people talk about early matchless, like Samson era matchless stuff. It'll be like that.
Yeah, definitely, you know, the epitome of boutique.
Yeah. Unbelievable sound. They're real loud.
Yeah.
I mean, real loud. But yeah, it's a special amp for sure.
Sick. I was hoping to have my Solus F1, but probably get that next week. So we'll see.
You'll probably get that whenever we get the merch up and running.
Yeah, maybe. Oh man.
Yeah, I think the Solus, we'll have to do that for next year. So keep that in mind. A year from now, when we do Gear of the Year,
what?
The Solus will count.
Well, okay,
for next year.
We'll just do it episode to episode. Any gear acquired between the episodes counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Because chances are I'll get it before January. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Dan, RSA 23 based on a Vox AC30? No. There is another RSA amp. There is the RSA 33. Here's the thing about divided by 13. The amp names are terrible and confusing. It's always 3 letters and then a number. God awful way of naming amps. So there's 2 RSAs. The 23 and the 33 are completely different amps. The RSA 33 is an AC30, basically. It's Fred's take on an AC30 straight up. The 23 is a completely different amplifier. Don't know why they decided to go that way. Both of them were designed for Rusty Anderson, hence the RSA, but
right.
Confusing. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Anyways, so I guess we'll skip shill of the week this week because the entire episode was basically a shill.
Covered it.
Year.
Nailed it.
Oh, man. Anything to plug? Anything you want to end on here?
Man, no, I think we had talked about this, and I think next week this would be, hopefully we can get the Discord sorted, but I think next week for Patreon Discord chat people, we should just have a chat or a Patreon topic only episode where you guys supply the fodder and we fire from the hip, and could be great, could be the last episode. We'll see.
Yeah, we could get canceled.
Yeah.
Could have a Twitter mob rise up against us for sharing our opinions. I talked to Dan from TPS the other day for the AC30 video, and he and I were talking. He was saying like, man, I would love to build you a rig. And I was like, that would be amazing. It'd be an honor. And it would give us an excuse to have the solderless versus soldered patch cable debate in public for the first time. Yeah. He was a pretty good sport about it. So that might actually be fun.
Yeah, man. That would be cool. But you'd have to ship everything, and then you would never get it back because shipping sucks right now. So.
Well, I literally just did that. I sent all my stuff out to Mason in Oakland because he's doing my studio board right now. And I don't know, this was dumb because the board is going to be able to swap stuff out. And so what I should have done is just sent like placeholder pedals that he could like wire the board up with. And then when I got it home, like put all the nice stuff on it, but I didn't. I sent like the Chase Bliss preamp Mark II. I sent my Jex Fox. I sent my new Univibe, my Tinsley audio, which I was going to talk about in this episode, but we ran out of time. And so like when it came time to ship the UPS box last week or 2 weeks ago, they're like, yeah, you want to insure this? It's like, yes. It's declared value. And I started adding everything up in my head and I was like, oh shit. Do I want to do this? Do I want to send all this stuff? So I was texting him every 2 days, like, hey man, did the box show up? Did the pedals make it? Is everything okay? Did it get there? So yeah.
Oh man, that's
anyways,
that's never fun.
No. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out, watching episode 17, 18. You guys are great. If you haven't done so, subscribe, follow us on YouTube or wherever your fine podcasts are downloaded, and share the show.
Share it away. That's a dumb thing.
See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.